How exciting. The Borderlands 3 hotfixes, September 27th, 2019. This week's Borderlands 3 hotfixes, which will be live by or before 3 p.m. PDT, they're live. Target weapon and enemy balance, player characters, and adjusting changes on specific unique drops. Billions of guns were fired, and after collecting some data, we wanted to balance some weapon types and weapon manufacturers. These adjustments are intended to even the playing field and increase the build diversity for all the Vault Hunters. Speaking of build diversity, Zane has received a gadget upgrade, and we're excited to see players create more unique builds with it. Many crew challenge enemies have specific loot drops, but we received reports that some were not dropping them. We've made some modifications so that they now have increased chance of dropping their unique gear, in addition to the gear they may drop. Well, not that we've done all of them. All right, first up, the weapon hotfixes. We have the sniper rifles. Sniper rifles deal high damage, but felt a little cumbersome to use in certain scenarios. This change will increase their overall damage and increase the usability in more combat engagements. Crit damage has been increased by 20%. Whoa. 20% increase on sniper rifle damage is kind of crazy. Like, they already do a ton of crit damage. Fire rate's been increased by 15%. That's big too. The time to aim down sights has been reduced by 50%, and time to equip has been 20%. I actually love that, dude. That's actually really good. They'll make it easier to like quick scope and stuff. These fights happen so fast. Everything's moving so fast in Borderlands. Nice. Sniper rifles. I feel like, because I felt for the longest time, like, why use a sniper rifle when you can just use a pistol? They do the same thing, but like, they're not, you know, I don't know. We'll like to see. Pistols. Jacobs and Torque pistols were outperforming other manufacturers, dealing the damage to groups of enemies at a much higher rate than other pistols. This keeps the changes to their identity intact, but reduces their overall group control. Tedder, Dahl, and the Children of the Vault pistols, also known as COV, have manufacturer penalties that affected their overall damage. Increasing their overall damage will overcome some of the penalties by retaining their unique gameplay style and feel. I dig that. I think if you're going to use a pistol, you were using Jacobs and Torques. The Amara playthrough that I finished up, I was actually using a Torque pistol, the one that did, you shot like one rocket and then like 5 followed behind that. If it wasn't for that one, between that and the Jacobs ones, I wasn't using anyone else. Increased damage on all Terror, Dahl, and Child of the Vault pistols. Huge. The Children of the Vault one got a 20% instead of a 15, which is interesting. Reduce the damage on Jacobs pistols and Torque pistols by 15 and 10%. That's kind of wild. I don't necessarily think they needed to nerf the other 2 pistols. I think they should just increase the damage on the other types. I kind of like how Jacobs and Torque felt overpowered, you know? I like that feeling in Borderlands. But I don't think you need to nerf things. I just think you always need to buff other stuff. Because, like, Jacobs and Torque pistols were fun. So now is everything just going to kind of meet in the middle? You know what I mean? I don't know. Maliwan manufacturer. The Maliwan weapons have reduced overall damage because they applied elemental dots at the rate damage greatly above the other manufacturers. You know, I never even realized that. I never even looked at that. This effect was toned down before launch, but overall damage was not sufficiently adjusted to compensate for the reduction in elemental dots. Riding back some of the overall damage and making the weapons faster to elemental builds can really take advantage of Maliwan weaponry. All Maliwan weapon damage has been increased by 25% and fire rate increased by 20%. That's going to be really interesting for all the people who like to play Amara as elemental, because I never really got into it, but like, is Maliwan the wave for her? Interesting. Atlas manufacturer. The Atlas weapons relied on a game loop that we felt gave players a greater advantage when used correctly. Turns out the loop is not used if the damage doesn't compensate for the time to set up. So now damage on Atlas weapons should facilitate players using them in general, on top of them feeling badass when they take advantage of the Atlas tech. Increased damage by 25%. I'd agree with that, man. Like, I never want to take the time to put a tracker on anyone in this game, because you just kill them so fast with other weapons that there's no point in doing it. I wish there was a way for, like, at the start of a clip that like the first round of your clip shoots a tracker dart, and then all the damage after, all the bullets after that, have tracker, you know, do the tracking thing on that. Because I still don't know if it's going to be good. Because like one, you don't get headshots and stuff as much either by using Atlas tech. I see what they're trying to do. I don't know if it's going to flow as well as they think it will. We'll see. I might jump in and like this stuff might be crazy. The Jacobs assault rifle change was to differentiate the assault rifle from the pistol as more as a mid to long range powerhouse. Since the assault rifles have a low mag size compared to other assault rifles, they're getting a slight increase to overall damage to compensate. Dual SMGs had their fire rates adjusted down before the launch, but their damage was never sufficiently increased, so they should feel more appropriate compared to other SMGs. And the Vladov heavy weapon damage has increased to share the full heavy weapon treatment. Jacobs assault rifles increased by 20%. Dual SMG damage 10%. Vladov heavy damage increased by 25%. The E-Tech Terrador shotgun damage increased by 50%. That is nutty, dude. A 50% increase. I think I know what they're talking about. I think there's a shotgun that shoots out all of like the balls and stuff like that. That thing did no damage ever. And so a 50% increase in damage. That's insane, man. That's an insane change. That's crazy. Can I pause here for a minute? Because you guys know, I come from playing Fortnite, right? I played Fortnite for like a year and a half to 2 years, and reading through their patch notes and how refreshing it is that a company is giving me this detailed of an explanation on their thought process and like walking me through like what they believe their game should be. I just like want to give them like a big hug. Like, thank you. I love you. I've been strangled and left out on my own. Oh, it's so nice, bro. And like, not for nothing, I can actually read these sentences. I don't know who's writing other patch notes, but it's incredibly hard, not very readable. Legendary modifications. We're going to be making a larger comprehensive legendary gear pass, but we have included the following changes to the King's and Queen's Call were modified to lower the fire rate. The weapon has a limited burst shot count, so the overall feel of the gun isn't dramatically affected. The King's and Queen's Call fire rate has been reduced by 50%. Oh, that's a crazy nerf, dude. I don't care what they're saying. That's a 50% reduction of fire rate. The Firestorm and Storm-based damage charge times were reduced to 1 second, down from 2. I know everybody and their mama were telling me to farm the King's and Queen's Call, and I never thought it was like the craziest item to begin with, but everyone else swore by it, so I think it was just more so my Moe's character couldn't really take advantage of it, because like they're like, bro, you can just shoot it forever. But I played bottomless mags Moe's, and it's like I would shoot my gun forever anyways. But that's a pretty big fire. That's a pretty big nerf, dude. That's a pretty big nerf. Because what happens with those items is whenever you get a headshot, you get your ammo back, so you can just like continuously fire that weapon over and over and over and over. It was like an infinite pistol almost, if you got crit shots. So now a 50% drop rate or fire rate, it's like crazy. A 50% reduction of fire rate is crazy for those weapons. I don't know. I think that's a huge nerf. I don't think it's as small as they make it. Gearbox is doing it very well in many areas. I am all of a sudden a Gearbox fanboy. I've really never been in my life, but I'm there now. I'm on the Gearbox bandwagon. 2019. Graveward. Graveward beams attacks did not properly scale based on the level, so at high levels, the 2 beams attacks hardly phase players. Oh god. Players will find his attacks to be more lethal now. In addition, Graveward is a very large enemy and is too easily susceptible to elemental damage, unlike the other large bosses. Elemental damage on the Graveward is now greatly reduced, but to compensate, Graveward's overall health has been reduced. Okay, kind of a side nerf there. Attacks on Graveyard are now based on scale based on level, reduce overall health by 20%. Increase the resistances to elemental damage. Elemental chance resistance increased by 70%. Elemental resistances increased by 30%. Elemental dot duration reduced by 30%. He was the easiest boss to farm. When I play offline, when I'm just straight like loot farming and XP farming, I always pick Graveyard to farm because I found him the easiest out of all of the bosses in the game, and apparently everyone else did too. Their data was really not looking at Graymore like it was too good. Pretty good changes. We'll have to see how hard he is. Miscellaneous changes. The Hollow Point Garden Rink has been temporarily disabled. We plan on addressing this in a future patch. Oh, ouch. Well, I went 75 points into that skill tree for nothing right now, apparently. That's where the bulk of my Garden Rink has been spent because I really wanted Hollow Point. I never thought the Hollow Point was that good, dude. You know, like in terms of the damage it did to me, I wasn't that scared of it. Compared to me being able to clear out 2 or 3 mobs at the same time, I thought it was a pretty fair trade. I thought it was kind of intended. I was all right with it. Vault Hunters should no longer scream when affected by dot while shields are active. All right, that's a decent one. Bro, they would like... They were continuously screaming, bro. That makes sense. Vending machines will now be restocked with higher quality items of the day. That's amazing because I think vending machines are kind of worthless after level 25-ish. You know, really what you're getting from the world is much better, so. Adjusted a visual concern on the Maliwan shotguns with the cryo element. All right. Legendary loot drops have been balanced throughout the game. Crew challenge enemies will drop their intended specific loot, and some enemies like Troy and Rampager will be a bit more stingy or stringy. Be a bit more stingy and no longer drop legendaries every kill. Okay. Okay. This is probably addressed to the Chupacabra that everyone's been farming. Chupacabra was or however you say the in-game name on this one, was a pretty big farm spot for people, so. That's probably where it's at. Makes more sense. It looks like they want people to stop farming like bosses and crew challenge enemies and just kind of, you know, they kind of want you to run through the game to farm again and like play through levels instead of just farming one enemy. I might be wrong about that, but that kind of feels like a push. Zane's Vault Hunter adjustments. Zane's gadgets were great at providing additional utility but lacked impact as players leveled up. We increased the digiclone damage with all the equipped weapons so the skill can scale better with players as they get to higher levels and harder content. The drone requires a lot of player involvement to take full advantage of its damage output, and increasing the base damage as well as augments will greatly increase the drone's versatility and reward players even more for using it effectively. Digiclone damage has been increased by 38%. Drone damage increased by 50%. Chiral damage penalty has been removed. Drone rocket damage has been increased by 50%. And Almighty Ordnance rocket damage has been increased by 70%, 75%. That's pretty huge, man. That's a pretty big Zane buff. Most people say that Zane's kind of the weakest Vault Hunter. I think I would agree with that sentiment, but you know, the dude, the man, Morning After Kill, Mac, who comes around here every once in a while, he has a Zane build that will like melt someone's face off. So I don't necessarily know if he needed I don't know how much of a buff he actually needed. I don't know if this is like well deserved. Like I have no opinion on Zane because I haven't really played him. But I'm happy for all the Zane players out there, man. I'm happy for you guys. Amara, Guardian Angel health restoration reduced from 100% to 50%. Blah, dude. Bro, I've been playing through Amara. A Guardian Angel has been such a lifesaver. I hate anything getting nerfed about that. Oh, that kind of sucks. It is kind of overpowered. What Guardian Angel is anytime you get knocked, you automatically get a second wind. So I guess it kind of made like, maybe that's overpowered. I don't know. But that's definitely a nerf I don't like, but I guess it's deserved. Glamour damage penalty has been reduced from 30% to 10%. I don't think anybody's been using Glamour that much, so that's kind of needed. And then Flak. Dude, they didn't touch my girl Mose at all, dude. Balance. Gorillas in the Mist bonuses greatly outweighed its penalty to the base skill. We don't want to remove the playstyle completely, but their overall damage output had to be slightly adjusted because it was outperforming other builds. We're monitoring the changes and may make another change to the ammo return in a future patch. Gorillas of the Mist duration reduced from 8 seconds to 6. The Gorillas of the Mist critical damage bonus reduced from 50% to 25. I really don't know much about Flak. I don't know like what Gorilla Mist really does, but a 2-second duration nerf is pretty huge. Like 2 seconds is a lot in this game. and then a 25% reduction or whatever it is from 50 to 25 on critical damage bonus. There's been a lot of crit damage builds on Flak from what I've been hearing, so that's a pretty beefy nerf to that. Oof. All right, rip Flak forever. Yeah, it kind of makes it seem like he is more balanced, but I'm down for that. I'm down. Get out of here. Should I become a Borderlands VIP? I'm all right. All right, that's the patch, man. For those just being hot fixes, those are some pretty beefy changes. For it just kind of being a hot fix, not like a full on. I don't think they address it like a patch. Maybe they do, but you know, that's for them just calling it a hot fix. That's pretty strong, man. That's pretty strong.